Alright, this is your expository writing lecture. It's a pretty short one. I just wanted to give you a little bit more information about expository writing. So expository writing is writing that explains something. You will probably work more with exposition than any other kind of writing. Expository writing answers questions such as, who or what is the person or thing under discussion? Why is that person or thing important? What does the person or thing do? How does the thing work? What is its origin? How does it develop? All right, so elements of expository writing. Try and get as much of that up there as I can. There are a number of different elements in expository writing. Ways of supporting the thesis statement will vary depending on your content. Not every technique will be used in every piece of exposition. Okay, so I'm going to describe some of the things. You can see from just looking at this that there's examples, there's comparison and contrast, there's cause and effect, there's definitions, and there's processes. So we are going to be doing a little bit where you'll be reading about comparisons and contrast. Of course, our next essay is the compare and contrast essay. So obviously it's also an expository essay. With doing comparison and contrast, sometimes it runs into cause and effect. Sometimes it includes a process. Definitions can be part of the example essay and can be part of a compare and contrast essay. So sometimes all of these things kind of blend in together. And that's how come I wanted to give you some more information about expositories. Okay. So we're going to start with the thesis. The thesis states the main idea of the composition. All sentences in a piece of writing should support the thesis statement. Expository writing always requires a thesis statement. All essays require a thesis statement. You can't write a thing that does not have a thesis statement and an essay map. If you don't have those things, you're just writing. You're just writing with no point whatsoever. Okay? If you don't have that thesis, you're just writing a bunch, you're rambling. You're just rambling. You've got to have that thesis statement in there. Without that thesis, you're putting me in a hostage situation. I don't know what I'm reading. I don't know what I'm reading about. I don't know what your point is. Do not give me a paper without a thesis statement and an essay map. Otherwise, I promise, you can't make a better grade than a D without a thesis statement and an essay map. Know that. Know that and make sure you got one, okay? Examples. Examples are a great way to support your thesis. They help illustrate abstract concepts for readers. Okay, when I say examples, you're probably wondering a little bit, what exactly? Well, I gave you some examples whenever I gave you the assignment. Remember how that thesis built into that essay maps with St. Augustine and with Anne Rice? Those are the type of examples you're going to build off of, okay? So comparisons and contrasts. Another good way to support the thesis is to compare and or contrast one thing with another. Explaining the similarities and the differences helps readers see how concepts relate to one another. And of course, you're going to learn more about that whenever we start Essay 2. Cause and effect. Often some aspect of your thesis can be explained by using a cause and effect relationship. A cause is something that brings about some action or result. An effect is what happens as a result of the cause. And there might be a topic that you pick that maybe something like this is going to be a part of your example essay. But just remember, the example is the important part here, not the cause and effect. The example could have a cause and effect, but it's the example that is the important part of your essay, okay? Definitions. You can use definitions to support the thesis statement. A definition explains something by telling what it is or how it works. And again, maybe your example is going to need you to use definitions, but the example is the point, not the definition. Processes. Support your thesis statement by explaining how something operates or works. Process explanations usually take the reader through a process step by step. And again, you may use this to describe something that's happening in the example. Just don't get sidetracked and forget what the actual example is. All right, so I'm going to give you some tips for expository writing, okay? You want to begin writing with a clear goal in mind. That is your topic. Try to stick with one idea per paragraph. So when you're writing that paragraph, keep that essay map in mind. Remember that your topic sentence is your mini thesis. Keep that in mind as you write that paragraph until you get to the analyzation part. Then you want to take that topic sentence and reaffirm what it has to do with that thesis statement. The thesis is the only element of expository writing that is required. Don't feel like you have to cram all of the others into one essay. Don't get overwhelmed thinking that you have to put so much in that essay that you end up blurting out 500 things. You don't have to do that. Stick with your example that you're using to support your thesis. You only need one or two. That's it. It's a 5-paragraph essay. This is not a master's essay where you're going to have to write 10 pages. It's only 2 to 3 pages, so don't try to cram too much in there. Instead, choose a few of the elements that work best with your material. Remember, keep on topic. Keep your topic always in mind. Just an FYI, you want to avoid using personal pronouns such as I and my in expository writing. Instead, you want to focus on the question you're trying to answer for the reader. The who, what, how, or why. In general, in academic writing, we avoid I, my. You really should avoid you. Don't ever say you. Do not talk to your reader directly. Certainly never say you should to your reader. People don't like to be shoulded in general. Yeah, I'm sure that most of you have heard your parents go, you know, you should. And your reaction was, you should mind your own business. Or I really wish you wouldn't should me because that's just going to make me dig my heels in and do it anyway. Because that's just how human beings react to that word. We don't like it. So don't should your reader. You really should never. Do you hear how I did that? Should anybody. But you should not talk directly to your reader. It's kind of like in theater. If any of you taken drama, you don't expose that third wall. The actor does not turn around and directly speak to the camera or out into the theater and speak to the audience. It's just something you don't do, because then once you've done that, you've broken that spell that an audience has with the TV or with the actors that are on the stage. It's the same thing in writing. So you really don't want to use you at all, okay? Well, if I'm writing about myself then, and my example is about my personal experience, how do I get around that? Well, it's real simple. Crystal Weisenberger went to St. Augustine and she took a tour. And on this tour, Weisenberger discovered that at the Wax Museum, there was a hanging victim that was supposed to be haunting the place. That's how you get around that. Okay? You should never say remember, you should never say in my opinion or I personally. You don't do that. You're supposed to distance yourself to a certain degree from your writing. You want to talk with authority. And that means you keep that I and my opinion and all that out of there. You want to avoid that. This is my favorite. These are great. This is the best. Those are things that you cannot prove. Yeah, it's your favorite. And I'm going to write on there, and who cares? Because most people don't really care what somebody else's favorite thing is. Nobody, if you say that this is the best dog, Well, because you said so? Yeah, you can give all the examples you want, but it really comes down to because you said so. What you want to say is beagles are a better dog to have as pets over other breeds because this reason, and this reason. That is how you word that instead of saying beagles are the best dogs because I like them. You can't say that. If you do, I'm going to write on there because you said so. You'll see that because I said so. Okay? So you want to keep some of those things in mind when you're writing expository essays. All right. So that's the end of your lecture on expository writing, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.